Hey everyone, hope you are all doing well as we are back with some more New World. In this video I really want to dive into arguably one of the best aspects of New World, the crafting system. In New World, the crafting system is broadly broken down into three distinct sections: gathering, refining and crafting. And broadly speaking, to get to your sort of end crafted products you have to work through all three, i.e. you need to mine iron ore using your gathering skills, turn this into iron or steel bars at the smelter using your refining skills, and then you can craft your sword, tools or armour at the various workbenches with your crafting skills. So you normally need to make use and level all three areas. Your trade skill levels in these three areas will not only determine what you can produce. For example, you cannot refine steel bars at the smelter until you reach level 50, but it's also going to determine the quality of the object in crafting, the number of bonus items in refining, and the speed that you collect resources in gathering. For example, at the start of the game, you're required to kill and skin a boar. You'll be skinning level 1, and you'll be using a flint skinning knife. It will be painfully slow. Do this process though again, say at level 50 skin the same boar, and you'll notice the process is remarkably quicker. Furthermore, as you level up and hit certain milestones, you'll see things like iron ore nodes and certain prey starting to appear on your compass, and this can be pretty useful for spotting them when you're running along. But if you're looking for sort of specific resource types, then actually I'd recommend you check out something like New World Map or Map Genie, which can really help you identify exact resource locations and even sort of plan out a little bit of a route if you wanted to do a route to say harvest iron ore nodes, and you can see specifically where they are on the map rather than having to sort of hunt them out from memory or the compass. But this then leads me on to a very important point: tools. It is too easy to end up sort of following the quest lines, running through the game and forgetting to properly upgrade your tools, but they actually make a huge difference to your gathering speed. A flint tool has a base 100% gather speed. If you go up to a steel tool, that can vary between 240 to 350. It is a huge difference, multiple times faster. Orichalcum can get up to 850% gathering speed. And once you sort of integrate this with your gathering level as well, it can make a real difference, and you can see why using the right tools is so important. Furthermore, you can actually get some really very useful perks on these tools, from increased yield to luck, which increases the chance of rare resource drops. This is partly why it can be worth crafting your own tools, because you can use the Azoth when you craft them to sort of secure these perks. Although tools with upgraded perks can still be purchased on the market, you just might expect to pay a little bit more for them. This then leads me on to a few points about refining. As we mentioned at the start, we have the obvious level caps that require you to reach sort of set levels before you can actually refine certain materials. The example we used earlier was steel bars. You'll need to be smelting level 50 before you can actually physically smelt the steel bars. But actually you'll also notice on the top right corner of the refining screen there's actually a bonus box. This is essentially determined by your level and allows you to get bonus material from a refining operation. If you, for example, smelted 100 iron bars, and actually your bonus was 10% because you'd leveled up quite a bit higher, say you were 100 smelting, then you would be getting 110 iron bars from that crafting. Right, so it makes it more efficient because you're getting that bonus from it. This will slowly progress up as you level up your refining skills. But actually, there's more to it, because the reagents you use from tier 3 onwards will also make a big difference. For example, if we take this 500 raw hide, you'll see that due to my 162 skinning level, I actually get a 16% chance to gain bonus material. This is actually only a tier 2 craft because I'm using a tier 1 sort of raw material, so I cannot actually yet use reagents, so I'm fixed at this 16% bonus chance. It's also probably a good time to point out that materials get significantly less as you go up the tree. So if I was trying to get a large quantity of tier 5 infused leather, I'm going to need loads and loads of the tier 1 rawhide. But anyway, as we move on to crafting the tier 3 rugged leather, you'll see that my actual base bonus has dropped down to 14% now, because we're trying to craft a slightly higher tier item. If we then add in just a standard tier 3 reagent, nothing changes, it stays at that 14% bonus. But then if we add in a tier 4 reagent, it goes up to 64%. And then if we add a tier 5 reagent, we hit 89%. So you kind of get an idea of how much extra resources you're going to be getting from making use of these high tier reagents. And actually, when the base materials can be either fairly lengthy to collect, or if you're buying them off the market quite expensive, it can actually make it quite a lot more efficient to buy this sort of stuff. And actually, at the moment, the tier 3 and tier 4 reagents, at least for leatherworking, the tannin, are both the same price on the market at 0.01 gold. There's absolutely no reason to not be using the tier 4 reagents, at least on my server. Then actually, as we progress up to the higher tier crafting, we see the bonus gets a bit less and less, because that's because we're tackling higher tier materials. So we've covered gathering and we've covered refining, and then this really leads us on to the crafting section. Because as with refining, it's not only level that limits what you can physically craft, but level is also going to be affecting quality, gear score, but also material choice has an impact. Azoth and perks all come into play. It's probably the more complicated of the crafting sections. To help explain this though, I want to use bags as an example, as I actually currently want to upgrade my current setup and make at least one tier 4 bag, as I've now got my 3rd bag slot opening up. And it is really important to be upgrading your bags, because it really increases the amount you can carry, particularly once you start to get onto tier 4 and 5 bags. However, currently my armor smithing is only level 60, so I've got a little bit of leveling to do first to get this up to 100. It might not be the most efficient way. I haven't actually really sort of worked through and calculated what's going to be the most XP efficient way. Maybe that's someone, if a more experienced player, can let me know in the comments what they've found to be the most efficient way to level armor crafting. But I'm just going to mass produce some leather armor, since I have a fairly large quantity of spare hide from leveling up my leather working earlier on. Okay, so now I've reached 100 armor smithing, we can actually craft the bags. But there are a few considerations. Firstly, the gear score range is determined by crafting level. So if you wanted to craft, for example, a higher gear score bag, because the gear score is going to affect its encumbrance, how much weight it can carry, allows you extra inventory space, you'll actually need to level up your armor crafting further. So you could, for example, may go to 120 armor crafting, and then you'll find your gear score range is slightly better. However, that is not your only option. You can also upgrade your gear score by using better materials. In this craft, only the primary ingredient, in this case layered leather, needs to be tier 4. I could just use linen and iron ingots for the other two. However, if I choose to upgrade them to, say, steel ingots and sateen, I could use silk and star metal, but I've actually not got the crafting skills yet to make them. Then you'll see, but by upgrading them still to steel and satin, the minimum gear score actually increases quite a lot. You can even make use of rare resources if you have enough of them available. Then the only other item that is needed for, well, bags specifically, is a rune of holding. You're going to have to purchase this from your faction representative. Obviously that does require you to have leveled up your faction levels somewhat, depending on the bag level you're trying to craft. And you can technically buy them from the market, but you're going to be paying a bit of a premium in gold, so unless you're sort of fairly wealthy, best to try and get it from the faction store. This then leads us on to the final area we need to cover, which is Azoth and perks. Since this is going to be a tier 4 bag, it will have the ability to have 3 perks. But without Azoth, as you can see, it only actually gets a very small or low chance to get all 3. You also get the option to select the first perk rather than sort of leaving it as a random chance. But it does require you to have the right crafting mod, And actually, in this case, I don't really have any specific requirements, particularly not one for tanning for leather gathering. So I'm going to leave it as random. I will, however, spend the 45 Azoth, as I do want to secure all 3 perks, particularly as this is sort of such an expensive craft. You know, I've spent 1,000 gold on the Rune of Holding alone. Bang! There we go. Really pleased with that actually as a crafting result. Really liking that luck bonus, going to help me as I progress into the higher tier areas and start to grind out some of my end game gear. So hopefully that gives you at least a bit of an overview of crafting systems in New World, how the different systems actually work together, and how you can go from sort of gathering to refining to crafting. If you do have any questions about any of this stuff though, or if I've missed anything, then please ask away in the comments down below and I'll be sure to get back to you. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you all on the next video.